All right, here we are broadcasting from the Breslov Center, Miami. Are we in Miami?
We're in Miami.
Pleasure to be here. Baruch Hashem, Yasher Koyach. And we are continuing Siman Shin Yud Ches. So we didn't quite finish reading the Alter Rebbe inside about Afiyah Achar Bishul and Bishul Achar Afiyah. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to continue in the Machaber about heating food up on top of pots. We're going to start with Yud Beis. I think we started Yud Beis, but we didn't quite finish it. Yesh Mishoimer, this is in the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Yesh Mishoimer, Shaf Bishim She'in Bishul Achar Bishul, Davar Yavesh. Some say even though there is no Bishul after Bishul, but something dry, Mikol Mokim Yesh Bishul Achar Afiyah or Tzliya. There is Bishul after baking or roasting. Sha'afiyah Atzali, something baked or roasted in the sun, if you put it while it's, even while it's still hot, into a Kli Rishon that is hot, Chayiv Rechayiv. Based on this, we should be strict by a Kli Sheni Midrabanan. According to this opinion, you should not put even bread into a bowl that is Kli Sheni as long as Yatzelet is boy. Who is this opinion, by the way? Yereim, thank you very much. And now we had another chumrah of the Yereim. Yesh Mishim Mistapik, some are in doubt, also happens to be the same person. And he says, you know what? Maybe there's a Chi of Chatas in a Kli Sheni. She has to let us know. Why? There are things that are soft and cooked in a Kli Sheni. They know the Bekiim and we don't know what they are. Meaning to say, of course, the Gemara says that there are the small fish, right? And, Maliach Hayasha, the salty fish. But in addition to that, he points out, like we mentioned last week, that there's one opinion in the Gemara that even salt cooks in a Kli Sheni. So, obviously, we don't know how to define cooking, because, cooking, what does it mean? It cooks in a Kli Sheni. It melts. What does it mean exactly it cooks? We don't really understand it. But there is such an opinion. So obviously there are things that are cooking, even though we're not aware of that. So therefore they said we have to be strict and consider that maybe not only should it be forbidden because of which is the opinion that we had before from Tosfos, that a Kli Sheni looks like cooking, but here we have to consider that it might actually be Bishul. Now, this opinion says, also the Yereim, we have to have this doubt even about other things. And therefore, we have to be strict about all of them, levad mitavlin, besides spices, which we know do not cook in a Kli Sheni. How do we know that? Because there's a Mishnah that says you can put spice in the Kli Sheni. That's it. So the authors of the Mishnah knew that a Kli Sheni does not cook spices. What is so special about spices that they don't cook in a Kli Sheni? It's hard for us to grasp. Why should a spice be different than anything else? On the contrary, spices seem like very small things. So maybe they should be able to cook in a Kli Sheni. No, the Chachamim were wise in the wisdom of this world as well as in the wisdom of the Torah, and they knew that spices don't cook in a Kli Sheni, and they told us that. Now, by the way, he doesn't discuss why it's not mechzik in Mavashal, but we mentioned it last time that people don't generally consider putting spices into food like you're cooking the spices. They consider you're flavoring the food. But that's another point, we're going to get to it later. The same thing applies to oil and water, because the whole source for that statement, Kli Sheni Eina Mavashal, that's a Gemara, comes from the story with Rebbe, like we mentioned last week. Rebbe was in the Chamei Tveria before they made a decree against bathing in the Chamei Tveria, and they wanted his Talmud, Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Avdimi, wanted to heat up some oil to give him a nice massage with oil, You're allowed to give a massage on Shabbos, by the way, with oil, just not a deep tissue massage. If you do like a deep tissue massage, like with strength, then it's called Uvdin D'choil. That's like a weekday type of thing. What do you mean, even the refuah?
If someone has an ache in one of his muscles, and you're making
if it's not deep tissue, it's okay, because it doesn't look like it's a refuah. You can do a refuah as long as it doesn't look like a refuah. Like my throat is hurting me. It's not hurting. The tea is a refuah. But it's not, it doesn't look like a refuah. It looks like I'm drinking tea. Anything that is not normally done as a refuah, you can do even if you have in mind for it to be a refuah. So if it's not a deep tissue massage, people like massages even with oils. If it's not a medicinal oil, regular oil. So then they can do it even if the person intends for it to be a refuah. But if oil is not memarech, oil is a liquid. Memarech does not apply to liquids. Vaseline is a solid. That's an issue. But oil is not a solid. Oil is a liquid. It's not a chiddush. It's a halach and shulchan aruch.
a regular person who
For me, it's a chiddush.
Okay, so I'm glad that you learned something. I'm sorry?
A regular person who doesn't know how to give
For Ronnie, right?
just doing the motion of hands.
I don't know. It says it should be, it says the words like rifya yadayim, something like that. Rifya yadayim, something like that. It should be soft. It shouldn't be like, it's not just that it's professional. It's like a work, to do it hard. You know what I mean? It's like a Shabbos. We don't do that.
Very,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So without any oil, anything, you're allowed to do massage?
Not deep. Not with koach. Softly.
No cream, no nothing.
Softly, even without cream. Softly. Only softly.
Soft.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is, they wanted to heat the oil for Rebbe. Rebbe said, take the water in a kli sheni and put the oil in the kli sheni. You can heat it in the kli sheni. So we know that oil and also water does not heat in a kli sheni. And, like we've explained, the same applies to other liquids. The Alter Rebbe says clearly that the same applies to other liquids. And there are other poskim, by the way, that are not so sure about other liquids. The Gemara only says specifically oil. Water, I can't remember where the Gemara says it, but whatever. There must be some source. One second. But other liquids, they say, who says? And the Mishnah Berurah says that you can heat up essence of tea essence in the kli sheni. And also milk that was once cooked, right? That's not a proof, because there you have the additional svara that ein bishul acha bishul even balach, according to some Rishonim. So the fact that the Mishnah Berurah allows it in that case is not a proof that other liquids besides these two do not cook in the kli sheni. So there are some poskim that are strict about it. Yes.
Two questions.
Yes.
You just mentioned about the milk. If somebody has coffee and you put the coffee, mix it, and you cannot put milk in it?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So this is
two reasons. According to the Alter Rebbe, he can because it's other liquids, and other liquids don't cook in the kli sheni. And even according to those that are strict with other liquids, will say that a liquid that was once heated, like milk is pasteurized means it was heated, unless you get raw milk from the farm. Otherwise, your milk will be pasteurized, and therefore it's already in bishul acha bishul belach, according to those Rishonim. So we're not going to be strict in the kli sheni.
the other question. The oil, if you want to warm the oil, you put hot water, you put the oil inside the water?
No, he kept it in a cup, and he put it inside another cup.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it mixes in. What are you going to do with it?
That's
No. He kept it in a kli, and he put it. He took
only oil, no soup or something like that.
No, even the soup. According to Alter Rebbe, in a kli sheni, you can heat up
Anything.
kli sheni. Any liquid in a kli sheni. Liquids don't cook in a kli
Can I
sheni.
take a chicken and put it over there also?
Chicken in a
Is it
kli
yavesh?
sheni. Chicken if it's already cooked and it's yavesh, for sure. If it's cooked and it's yavesh, b'lakasha, why not?
Any cooked, I can put in a
Kli rishon. Well, cooked, you can put in a kli rishon off the fire. Cooked, ein bishul acha bishul. Yavesh, cooked yavesh, you can put in a kli rishon.
only yavesh.
Yavesh, yeah.
But lach.
Lach, not in a kli rishon. Kli sheni, yes.
Yes.
Kli sheni.
Oh, okay. So blach is a kli sheni, it's called.
Mazeblech.
If you put it on the blach, some.
No. That's worse than the kli rishon. That's the fire. That's the fire.
If you put a pot upside down, like we said, we learned that.
Then you can put on top of there something that has no bishul. I mean, say if it's yavesh and it's mevushal kol tzorko. Even on a blach, actually, some say you can. Some say it's not the way to cook. But again, only if it's mevushal kol tzorko and it's yavesh.
I only talk about the mevushal.
And yavesh. Yeah.
Okay.
We speak about what's not.
Yeah, we did already. Yeah. You weren't here? Menachas Kohen says Roiv. I looked it up, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned it. Somebody asked me if I saw it in the Menachas Kohen. I did see the Menachas Kohen. He says Roiv. Menachas Kohen? A big gadol. I don't remember his name, but he's one of the early Achronim. He writes on Hilchot Shabbos and Basal B'chalav. And he says it goes by Roiv. Simple majority. That's how. Well, they want to base it on the Rabbeinu Yerucham, who says that it has to do with stomach v'ra'loi. You understand? With liquids being stomach v'ra'loi. So if the main thing is solid, which has no bishul, the fact that there's a bit of liquid being cooked, you don't care about that. So that's like with stomach v'ra'loi. See what I'm saying? That's what they base it on. There's no Rishon that says clearly the definition, but they base it on that. And then the Alter Rebbe says any liquid at all, which means if you put your hand on it, touch your other hand, if there's liquid there, then it's a problem. But there was a diuk in the Mishnah Berurah that said that if it's basically solid, it just has a little bit of moisture on it, that's considered a solid. Like schnitzel, like rice, like grease, exactly. So that's kind of a compromised position. It's a diuk in the Mishnah Berurah, which I saw in the 39 Malachas by Rabbi David Ribiat. You see that book?
Right, yeah.
He didn't really have a good source, so I don't want to say the name of the Mishnah Berurah because it's a diuk, which he made. I think generally non-Chabad is lenient like that position. I've heard a Rav give that psak.
I heard Moshe also says what the Alter Rebbe, is that true?
Moshe, I believe, does say that. I don't know if he gives that exact definition of touching like that. Even the Alter Rebbe doesn't give that, but he does say that it should not have liquid. He doesn't say the word Sevel Amanas Atfiyah, but he is true. No, I don't think so. He says it shouldn't have any liquid.
Who says?
Moshe.
No, the Alter Rebbe.
Also, it should not have any liquid.
Why is that such
because in other areas of halacha, no liquid is defined as not tefel masatfil. So that's Rabbi Farkash, the Seif here. Shabbos kahalacha. I don't know. Hagdoras hayavish v'halach. Kuf lamed hey.
This sounds to be very stringent. And it could be that's the shot. If there's no Rishonim that specify, why not be?
No, he does say the Alter Rebbe says the word yavish lagamri. So, I mean, the question is how do you define that? But it's not like
right, I'm saying
the idea
the
is not.
Internal chicken produces oils. It's
not inside, just on the surface.
No, I know. I'm saying that the chicken internally produces oils that, let's say, for example, I put on a barbecue, it's a completely dry piece of food that now is moist because of the liquids that extricate.
That's no problem. The Alter Rebbe says clearly. No, I'm saying that's no problem to say that that's aser. So what? Oh. Alter Rebbe says clearly, for example, that you should not pour hot, from a hot kli rishon onto chicken that has gravy on it, because the great Alter Rebbe in the Siddur changes his mind from Shulchan Aruch and says if something solid becomes a liquid, It's considered a liquid already.
So when solid becomes a liquid.
Like gravy,
What was it from?
it's
Sauce.
based on one of the Rishonim.
What was the gravy from?
Sauce.
The gravy
Red
came out of the
sauce.
chicken, now it's congealed.
Why does gravy have to come out of chicken?
You
Make gravy
cook
with
chicken and there's gravy. That's what happens when you cook chicken, yeah?
chicken makes gravy?
Usually if you cook chicken in a pan, you're left with the juices, No?
And if it's got cold and
If you put it in the
freeze,
fridge, it becomes congealed. It's like a gel.
Gel, yes.
So that's like a solid. But if it becomes liquefied with heat, it becomes a liquid. The question is, do you go by now, it's a solid, or by what it's going to become if you pour that water on it? It's a liquid. It's a machlekes with shonim. In the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe says that it goes by now. It's a solid now, before you start pouring. The Siddur says to be strict, like the opinions that say it should be considered a liquid. So I'm saying even though the gravy, how much gravy is there already?
It's a little
We see.
The gravy is an actual liquid that came out and it's separate from the food.
I'm saying, but it is what it is. It came out of the chicken. Now it's a thing. So a little. If it's out, it's out.
But we cannot consider about like it's a little bit.
I just want to answer what you're saying in terms of the source. The first source he brings for this is the Ktsaris HaShulchan of Avraham Chaim Noah. So not very. He was the time of the Mishnah Berurah.
What was the source?
Tafeach hamnas latfeach. That's the definition of wet. Yeah, in Hilchot Shabbos. I mean, we find it in other areas in halacha, but he's the first one who applies it to Hilchot Shabbos. Sorry?
Let's say with the chicken with the like a gel a little bit. If it's a little bit, not too much, and it's considered also. Or
Depends how you go. The Minchas Kohen is lenient.
if I don't like
Small
that,
amount.
If I don't like that, I really.
The
don't like
Minchas Kohen is lenient. The Mishnah Berurah is also lenient if it's a small amount. Alter Rebbe says it has to be totally dry.
So that the cleaner.
You could just take it off. Take it off. But b'chol zot, if it's now gravy, if it's now solid, many poskim say the Mishnah Berurah says it's not an issue b'chol. He goes by the
chicken.
way it is now, not the way it's going to melt later. Understand?
What if it's chicken that's in a fridge, then when you touch it then, it doesn't have any type of grease, but when you put it on the plata, it'll excrete grease.
That's no problem. Goes by the moment you put it on.
So schnitzel, let's say in the fridge, it's cold, you touch it, you're not getting anything on your hands, you let it put it on the plata.
Correct.
According to those.
Correct. Correct.
May Chabad person asking the Ashkenazi or Sephardi or lenient to put it on?
No. But he may eat it if they do. He can't ask him because the psak of the Alter Rebbe is that is actually aser. So we hold it. We don't hold it's a chumrah. We hold it's aser. So you can't tell them to do something. We hold it's aser.
Does anyone else say in the Alter Rebbe that's different? About the Rabbi Rebbe?
I've never heard.
But if he wants himself,
But b'diavad, when you're not telling him to do it, it's a question of benefiting from what he did. Lo shamati.
Wow, I wish schnitzel could be on the plata.
Lo shamati. I don't think so.
if he come to do it by himself, you can benefit. No?
Yeah. I got that psak from Rabbi Wozner, even though the Alter Rebbe doesn't say it, but because it's a sfek. The Alter Rebbe is machmir, by the way, different than other poskim, but like the Magen Avram, that you cannot benefit from an isur d'oraisa, even if there's opinions that are mekel. Understand, like ein bishul achar bishul balach, right? The Rambam says ein bishul achar bishul balach. We paskin that there is. So some poskim, Rabbi Vadia and others say, but you can rely on the Rambam. Alter Rebbe, based on the Magen Avram, says no, because it's an isur d'oraisa, we're going to be machmir even b'diavad. But when you have a double suffix, because you have the argument of ein bishul achar bishul balach, right to the Rambam, then you have the Minchas Kohen who says it's not lach. So b'diavad you can be samech and a sfek sveka. I got the psak from Rabbi Wozner. Yeah. You can eat his food. You can eat his food. The whole thing of not taking it out while it's on the kli rishon is a chumrah. While it's on the plata, I'm saying. It's a chumrah. The Alter Rebbe brings it Misha roitza lahachmer. Understand? It's a chumrah. It's a nice chumrah, but it's not going to be yasa b'diavad. If it's fully cooked, talking about fully cooked. Yeah.
Vegas from the Bishul?
To serve from a kli rishon on the fire.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
Ashkenazim are strict, right?
We don't do it, but it's like a chumrah. I'm just going to read the words.
Remember I sent you the picture recently of the chiluk between Megis and he's serving? The mixing for serving?
Yeah.
That would probably be because he's just
Yeah, he's talking about serving. It's not so clear in the Alter Rebbe, but b'diavad it's for sure good. B'diavad it's for sure good. Okay, I'm going to get to it. Let us continue. Where are my students? I see Daniel is here, David is here, and Yosef is here. All right. Yossi is where he is. Okay, let's continue. The same thing applies to roasted meat. You should be strict not to put it even in a kli sheni, because there's also bishul after tzliya. But if it's something cooked, you should not be machmer. You don't have to machmer at all if you do a kli rishon. Even the kli rishon off the fire. There's no bishul after bishul in something dry. There are some that are lenient with something baked and roasted. Even if they're dry, if they're cold, they have to put it into a hot kli rishon. There is no bishul after afiyah and tzliya. Who's that?
This is Daniel. Where are we starting from?
I'm reading the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the end of Yud Beis, the end of 12 in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch brings it, but who is it in the Rishonim? This is just to impress Rabbi Vosner and whoever else. I'm reading the end of Yud Beis, Avayesh Matirin. Who is Matir? The Ravya. The Ravya says, Ein bishul achar afiyah. It's based on the different opinions about matzah, different opinions about the Korban Pesach. The Beis Yosef liked his opinion. And the Alter Rebbe says what to do, l'maisa. V'nogu lizor l'chatchila k'sor shana. L'chatchila, you should be strict. Shalei litin pasaf v'lebu kli sheni, kol zman sheyad saledas boy, not to even put bread into a kli sheni as long as he has saledas boy. This is the Ramah's psak, by the way. But b'diavad, you should be, you can be matir in a kli rishon, like the second opinion. Now we said, by the way, that the simple reading of the Machaber, it would seem that he is lenient because he has the yesh v'yesh. Some of the Sephardic poskim say to be strict in bishul achar afiyah in a kli rishon, but to be mekel in a kli sheni. The Rabbi says, Ein bishul achar afiyah, and Ein afiyah achar bishul. Okay, so what about tigun? Tigun.
It's a different.
Frying. Tigun is roasted. I mean, tigun is baked or tigun is fried, or tigun is cooked. Excuse me. Tigun means frying. What I'm saying, what's the halacha? Does the halacha have the halacha of something cooked or baked? Baked is without liquid. Cooked is in liquid. Here, it's sitting in liquid, but it's not like. No? Yeah, exactly. If it's a lot, like deep fried, like, when they make the sufganiyot for Hanukkah, so that is cooked for sure. Even though it's floating, that's cooked.
But we mentioned before the oil, it's okay because it's not regular oil. It's not like a liquid. Oil is you can warm that.
Oil is liquid. You can warm it in a kli sheni.
You massage the body, Rabbi.
You can massage the body with it. That's one halakha. you can put it in a kli sheni, that's another halacha. Now we're talking about frying with it in a kli rishon, which you obviously cannot do on Shabbat.
So this,
You did it before Shabbat. And now the question is the food fried in that oil? Does it have the halacha of being cooked or being baked?
now it's like a liquid, like a soup.
Of course oil is a liquid, but it wasn't sitting in the oil. It was on top of the oil.
What's happening if you take a napkin and you take all the oil before Shabbat?
I'm not talking about the oil that's absorbed in it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the food that was fried. Does that have the halacha of something baked or something cooked?
When we say baked or cooked, is halacha like soup or dry?
Nothing to do with soup. Nothing to do with soup. Because I'm talking about something dry. The question is it considered that it was cooked with liquid, and therefore you can reheat it in liquid because it's considered cooked, and ein bishul achar bishul,
Okay.
or is it considered baked? And according to the Yereim, yesh bishul achar afiyah. You cannot put bread into even a kli sheni, according to the Yereim, and how much more so kli rishon, because it was only baked. And now you want to cook it.
Okay.
So now that's the question. So again, deep fried is considered bishul. If it's only a very small amount, so the pan shouldn't burn, like basically a nonstick pan, maybe you just put a little bit of Pam, is that what it's called? Pam? As opposed to spam. The Pam, just that spray, you know what I mean? That's just so it shouldn't stick. That's for sure afiyah. If it's like in between, that's actually a machloket in Hilchot brachot, which has a nafkamina in terms of the bracha on stuff like that. If it's samotzi, it's mezonot. So there it's a machloket. So here also, it's a machloket. Same thing, same machloket will apply.
You said what's how we can do it?
If you make matzah brai, אתה יודע מה זה matzah brai? It's an Ashkenazic dish. Matzah brai is matzot mixed with eggs, fried.
We're talking about schnitzel. The main thing is a piece of meat. You just cover it with breadcrumbs.
No, you don't say motzi and schnitzel.
No, because this is what we're talking about. But schnitzel and you give.
Yeah, you don't say motzi and schnitzel. Don't say motzi and schnitzel. I'm talking about making a motzi on matzah brai.
With the egg matzah, it's a motzi, Rabbi?
Egg matzah is not a motzi.
No. When you put eggs, you scramble matzah, and you with the egg. It's also Morocco also does that too.
So if frying is like cooking, so if the pieces are less than a kazayit, it becomes mezonot right away. If the pieces are bigger than a kazayit, then it's a motzi regardless. But if it's considered like baking, so it stays a motzi no matter how small the pieces are. The Alter Rebbe says it's a machloket, and you should not eat that unless you make a motzi on a piece of bread. I mean, not on Pesach, but on a piece of matzah or whatever.
Rabbi, Ashkenaz on matzah עושה המוציא. Sephardic is shako.
Mezonot.
After Pesach.
Mezonot after Pesach. Mezonot.
Mezonot. Okay, so,
Not all Sephardim, but some say.
Mezonot.
Some
So
say.
if I say mezonot and I put the egg, I cannot do a motzi, or I have to do a motzi?
It's mezonot without the egg. Of course, it's mezonot with the egg. Mashallah.
So what's the machloket with the Ashkenaz with the?
I'm talking about if you say motzian, if it's Pesach,
If it's
or
Pesach.
for Ashkenazim throughout the year, if it's considered cooked and it's less than a
Then you
kazayit,
do a motzi.
then you cook a piece less than a kazayit, it becomes mezonot.
Okay.
So that's a nafkamina, and here also nafkamina. Okay, so let's continue. Ulefi svara harishayna, according to the first opinion, yesh bishul achar afiyah v'tzliya, that there is bishul after afiyah and tzliya. Yesh gam ken afiyah v'tzliya achar bishul, there is also afiyah and tzliya after bishul. Meaning to say, the hainu shekol davar mevushal, if something was cooked, also litnei b'lo roitav samuch le'eish, you cannot put it without liquid close to the fire. In a place that's become yes. Coming back to your schnitzel, Rafael, you took the schnitzel out of the fridge and you want to heat it up. on top of the plata or whatever, you got to ask, was it fried? If it was fried, some say that it's considered cooked and not baked. And now you want to heat it up on without any liquid. You want it to be, you want it to become salui. You're roasting it. It's a problem. Although we did say last time, the Chazon Ish says that it's only going to be a problem if you'll be able to taste the difference. Because the whole point of it is the taste, change in the taste.
Does it make a difference if you take it in the cup and you put it in a second cup of hot water, and like you do with the oil? It's a different halakha?
You're not going to put schnitzel in a cup.
If you want to warm that, if you put
Schnitzel
it
in a cup?
No, but it's like the oil. How you do the oil? You put it in a cup and you put it in the hot water.
Oil is the oil.
Anything you put in.
You can heat schnitzel in a cliche, yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So it would be warm, right?
Yeah. Bakasha.
אתה לא שם אותו במים? לא, מה אתה עשינו?
No, he's saying to put it in a bag and put the bag in the water.
How do you do in the oil? You don't put the oil in the water. You put it in the cup, in the second cup. And the rabbi spoke before. Like this. This is the oil, and you put this is the hot water, second cup. Just put it like that.
Okay. We continue and we say, however, if something is baked, there's no issue to heat it up directly with the fire. As we're going to explain later, something is roasted, the same thing. Okay. Roasted and baked are the same because they're heating without liquids, basically. But we use roasting when it comes to, we use baking for pastries, basically, bread, pastries, and we use roasting for other things.
Rabbi, I'm sorry, my mind is not catching it about with the oil when you cook, or how it's called, the roasted, or I mentioned before. When you fry it with in the oil. Rabbi, can repeat
if you fry something in oil,
okay.
If it's deep fried, it has the halakha of something cooked.
And
if that means that you can heat it in liquids. You can heat it in liquids. You can put it even at the kli rishon that's off the fire, because ein bishul achar bishul.
No, allowed to do that?
Ein bishul achar bishul is not a machloket. No. If it's yavesh, it's no machloket. Ein bishul achar afiyah is a machloket. Ein afiyah achar bishul is a machloket. But ein bishul achar bishul, the yavesh, no machloket.
So if it's oil, on deep oil, it's called
bishul. Bishul. You can put it into liquid. If it's pan fried without any oil, a little bit of oil, so then it's called afiyah. You can heat it up on top of a pot or near a fire, but you can't put it, according to those that are strict with bishul afiyah, you cannot put it into a kli rishon or even a kli sheni of liquid.
Because it's called afiyah.
It's called afiyah.
Okay, now
So what about mandalach?
What's the mandalach?
No, mandalach's croutons.
What's the croutons?
Croutonim, no? Shkedei marak, thank you very much.
Shkedei marak.
Can you put it in your soup or not?
I think you can put it, like you put the milk in the coffee.
Is it baked? Or it's fried?
Tell me. Oh, yeah, that's actually a difference. If it's, tell me both. Most of them are baked, I believe, but some of them are fried. If you want to get some good, heart healthy stuff, you get the fried ones. Otherwise, you get the baked ones. No, tell me, what's halacha? Let's start with baked. If they're baked,
You're allowed to do.
Baked you can do. Simple?
Simple. A klishini.
I'm talking about a cliche. You're not putting it in the soup on the pot. It's going to get soggy before people get to eat it. This is not a rhetorical question. What? You say not to put in a kli tzatz and let it go. What about a kli shlishi? According to the it's allowed to let it go. That's true. Not everybody is strict like the Yereim. Alter Rebbe doesn't say clearly kli shlishi, but the Yereim himself is strict, even a kli shlishi. The Yereim is strict on Bishul HaChafiyah, and he is strict on even a kli shlishi. That is correct. According to the Yereim, according to the Yereim himself, you would not do it even in a kli shlishi. According to the Alter Rebbe, fill in the blank. We are machmer, like Bishul Yesh Bishul HaChafiyah. What about a kli sheni? So you for sure wouldn't put in a kli rishon. What about a kli sheni? Exactly. Even a kli sheni would be machmer. Kli shlishi is not clear. He doesn't say. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I've heard the argument that anyway the Yereim is a machloket. Nahagu lahachmir, the Alter Rebbe says. Nahagu lahachmir. We are. It's customary to be strict. When it comes to a kli shlishi, lav dafka.
Nobody is talking about
Because that's another machloket. So it's like it's extra reason to be lenient. I don't stop my children, for example, from putting stuff into their soup. Because again, according to Shlomo Zalman, a soup bowl is a kli shlishi. Because he holds that the ladle, even though there's a machlokas about the ladle being rishon or sheni, we discussed it, but he says the bowl is for sure a shlishi. So therefore, no. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman says the bowl is for sure shlishi.
because you got a scoop.
Because he says, no, because he says it's a machlokas what the matzeket is. So we're going to be machmir. If it's a suffix rishon or sheni, we're going to be machmir, because rishon and sheni is big difference. We're going to be mekel about sheni and shlishi. Suffix sheni and shlishi, we're going to be mekel. He has a diuk in the Mishnah Berurah that he gets this from. He didn't make it up on his own. It's a hard thing to make up.
When he's saying about I know that
Tzemach tzedek.
Put something new from the Torah and use it. So for sure, can be shame.
Tzemach tzedek has that, yeah.
So where he's over.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. No, I think it's in any case.
A dry one using it, there's no. I'm saying there's no work to the creation of Hashem. For sure.
That's what the Tzemach tzedek says. That's what Tzemach tzedek says. Yeah. Rabbi Shlomo Zalman doesn't address that point. He's just talking about the bowl, but regardless. Okay. Did we clarify anything? Basically, don't do it in a kli sheni. In kli shlishi, there's reason to be lenient. Although if a person wants to be strict, there's also room to be strict. What about a fried? What about fried mandalach? Fried croutons? So if fried is considered cooked, then it's ein bishul achar bishul. And you can put it. It is a machlokes, that's the truth. But the truth is, in Hilchos Brachos, Alter Rebbe says the main halacha is, even though we're machmer, but the main halacha is that it's considered cooked. So here, where again you have a machlokes, the whole thing about maybe ein bishul achar afiyah, you understand? Plus, maybe it is considered bishul. Again, there's makom later. There's reason to be lenient, even in a kli sheni, if it's fried. Okay. We continue and we say.
How you said that the yellow small
Shkidei Merak?
Shkidei Merak in American
Croutons.
Croutons.
In Yiddish, it's mandalach.
Mandalach.
Yeah, mandalach actually means almonds, but that's just an example of something crunchy that people put in the soup.
So when my friend says Ashkenazi, I give it, bring me a say, let me a mandalach.
Okay, Here we go, my friends, with the Machaber, Seif Vav. Seif Vav in the Machaber. Kli sheyesh boy dover cham. A kli that has something warm. I'm sorry? Yeah? Seif Vav in the Machaber. You have a Shulchan Aruch?
Please.
They have those in Haralek Shul also, by the way, in the base Medrash.
I'm getting the semi one.
I'm just saying for now, in the base Medrash there, they have also. Kli sheyesh bo davar cham. A kli that has something hot. Shahayad seleres boy, which is yad seleres boy. Mutar lanichoi b'Shabbos al gabi k'deira hatmuna k'dei she'yishomer choyma v'lei yitztanen. You're allowed to put it on top of a pot that is tmuna. Tmuna means what? Insulated, thank you. In order for its heat to be maintained and it should not become cold. What's the chiddush here? Anybody? What's the chiddush here? You have a pot that has food in it. The food is still hot. You can put it on top of another pot that's hot. Yesh po eze chidush? What's it teaching us?
It's most of Hevel.
It's moist of hevel? Really? A pot is moist of hevel? A hot pot is moist of hevel? A hot pot that's not on the fire is not moist of hevel.
I look cooking.
We discussed that, by the way. Because that's going down.
Yeah.
The bottom one is Talmud, yeah.
And then you come in from the top with the other part.
It look cooking. It looks cool. I don't know.
You're heading into the place. So it's not going to get cold from the
It's
top.
not called, first of all, you're not, in the simple reading of the Mechaber, you're not putting any blankets around the top one. I'll tell you what the Mishnah Berurah says in a minute.
You just put another pot.
You're just putting a pot on top of it. You're not doing any atmana. You're not putting it under the blankets. You understand?
No, but the other one is only coming beside the
Yeah.
top one.
It's already a Talmud, yeah.
Well, it's been off the fire for a while.
Nah.
That's the problem. Like Chazara.
It's already Talmud. It's already,
It's
Sorry,
like
Tom.
it's like we said.
anyway, you can't do atmana with a pot on top of a pot. It's not going to.
Rabbi, it's like we said we have a blach and we have a pot in it, and then we take another pot and put it on top of the.
No, we're not talking about a blech. No blech. Not yet.
With that mana is
Not yet.
like a
Not yet. We're going to discuss on top of a blech in the next Seif. Now we're talking about just hatmana, no heat source underneath the hatmana. You understand? It's just it's a pot with wrapped in blankets, no fire underneath it.
Just the sand is hot.
Keep it hot.
The sand, I don't know about sand. Let's talk about begadim. Sand could be mosif eva. Talk about begadim. Towels.
Towels.
This one, because of clean. As long as it is hot, you can put it back.
You're not putting it on the fire. The pot is not on the fire. That's the next halacha.
Could it be you're insulating something that was not insulated before Shabbos? Because by putting it on a hot.
One second, Daniel. How do I know this one is off the fire? Because the next one is on the fire. Read Siv Zion and you'll see. And from this, you understand that this one is off the fire. Daniel, go ahead.
I was saying that since you're putting it on a hot mana pot, I guess this thing also maybe has to have hot mana to put it there. So maybe since the Kiddush is.
No, I hear what you're saying. Actually, the Mishnah Berurah does say that. So since you bring it up, I will mention that. The Mishnah Berurah says that you're allowed to put it under the blankets of the bottom one. It's a chiddush. Well, even though it's not under heat source, you can't do hatmana in the first place on Shabbos, right? Not even if it's not moist hevel. But the chiddush is because the bottom one is already there, And if you open up the bottom one, you're allowed to close it. That's the halacha. So once you're closing it, you can close it with another thing inside of it. It's a chiddush. Not everybody holds of it.
They're different between.
Not everybody holds of it. The Alter Rebbe does not hold of it. It says clearly you have to leave it on top. But the Mishnah Berurah holds you can add. You can add to an existing atmana. That's chiddush number one.
Existing atmana. It's a difference between yavesh or lach.
Right now we're talking about lach. How do I know we're talking about lach? Because if it would be yavesh, it wouldn't still have to be hot.
Doesn't matter. Yavesh
is no bishul. Talking about kol. We're talking about lach, and therefore it has to still be hot. Chiddush number two, my friends, the Taz says, which not everybody agrees with, but the Alter Rebbe does. It's actually interesting because the Mishnah Berurah holds the chiddush about Atmana, and he questions the chiddush of the Taz. Alter Rebbe accepts the Taz, he doesn't accept Atmana, but everybody has a chiddush. Anyway, the Taz says if you put the top one on top of a pot that's off the fire, you can do it even if the top one is not fully cooked. We mentioned this in Reish Nun Gimel. Not fully cooked. The Taz and the Alter Rebbe brings them down. Even though the top one, yes. Even if the top one is not fully cooked, but because the bottom one is off the fire, all the top one is going to do is going to maintain the heat. It's not going to add any heat, and it's not going to be able to cook it. No. Nothing to do with that. It's not going to cook it. No mashana. I mean, if it's not macham soy, it's muktzah. I mean, unless it happens to be edible raw. But something that's not edible is muktzah. I mean, how are you going to move it? That's a separate issue. But in general, it doesn't cook. It's because it only keeps the heat. It doesn't add the heat. Okay. Let us continue. And the Machaber, correct. Here's another chiddush. V'yachal tuach piv bebatzik im yesh le batzik shenilosh me'esmoil. You're allowed to even put dough to seal the space between the pots so the heat will stay sealed in. Cooked. You know what? When you asked that question, I remember 4 years ago they asked the same question. Not me, somebody here asked the same question. Not in this room, obviously. Somebody asked the same question. Why is it not going to bake the dough?
Because it's not fire, just warm.
Doesn't Mishana? It's a clear rishon, or even off the fire can cook. Told us it's not a klipa. Kli rishon can cook. You know, it's not just a klipa. This is kli rishon. The bottom one is a kli rishon.
You're putting it in, or you're putting it around it. You're just covering the space between.
The point is, why does a kli rishon cook? Because the walls are hot. These are the hot walls. The inside cooks, not the outside. Well, what's the difference? It's told us eish. It has the heat of the fire inside those walls. I don't see why it shouldn't cook. It doesn't have to be inside. What difference does it make?
So
I'm sorry?
why can it's okay to put the dough?
I don't remember if I had an answer last time.
And we mentioned that you could put it on top of like a urn.
The bread is baked. The dough is not baked. This is what they call in Yiddish a klotz kasha. Klotz means a piece of wood. It's like a strong question, like a piece of wood, like you can't move it. I don't know if I'll have an answer tomorrow. If I don't have it in 4 years, I'm not going to have it in 1 day.
But you know that's something that you don't care about.
They talk about batzek here.
You don't care about it. That's an interesting answer. I mean, you can't cook even if you don't care about it. Maybe it's only the Rabbanan. I understand. Maybe it's only the Rabbanan, but you can't. It's still Asur. At least with the Rabbanan. Right? If it's, let's say it's a Davar Shenu Mitkaven, you don't want it to cook. But if it's Psik Reisha, if it's for sure going to cook, even Lo Nichale, even if you don't want it, you don't care about it. But at least with the Rabbanan, it's Asur. Yeah.
הנה, זה מה שאומר הבית. פה.
Oh, thank you very much. Lior Halacha answers the question. Shkayach. Mashma mizeh de batzek mutar laniach agabe keli cham sheyatzarot beulei chashin neshavel tzas afilu k'dei krimas pan. The Lior Halacha says, it seems from this that it's simply not, it's impossible. The heat of the Kli Rishon is not going to be enough to bake it. It's just a fact. That seems to be the fact. Based on this, the Lior Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah, based on this halacha, which is quoting the Rishonim, maybe it's even from the Gemara, I don't remember where it's from. Let me just look it up. Shabbos Nanalef. I think it is from the Gemara. So we just, it must be that it's simply, they did experiments and they realized that it doesn't successfully bake.
You don't need that.
No, if it would bake, it would be also even if you don't need it. But Lamaisa, we don't, it doesn't bake. Okay. The point is that there's another question here. Why is dough not muktzah? Who eats raw dough? I mean, kids eat raw dough. So the Mishnah Berurah says we're talking about dough that you're going to feed to the dogs. I mean, the same is true if in your family you do actually eat the dough, then it wouldn't be muktzah. But in any case, the Taz and Magen Avram are both wondering why it's not mimareach. Why is it not a problem of smoothing? Maybe you're going to smooth the dough all around just so to make a nice, perfect seal, which is a halacha, by the way, in Siman Shin Yud Daled, which we'll come to in Mitzvah Shem, that you're not allowed to put wax into a hole in the barrel. You made a hole in the barrel to get out some wine. Now you want to seal the hole. You can't put wax into there because we're afraid you might seal it. You might smear it closed. And that's going to be mimareach, that's going to be smearing. So the Taz and Magen Avram have different perspectives on answering this question. The Taz says, well, it's different than over there, because over there, you need it very well sealed, because you don't want the liquid to get out. So it has to be a good seal. So that's why we're concerned. If you would just put it in, not seal it. That wouldn't be an issur. And the Rabbanan, they say, don't even put it in because you may seal it, smear it closed. But that's only over there where it has to be, tight to not let any liquid out. Over here, you want it closed, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing's going to happen if it's not perfect. So again, you're not allowed to smear it, but we're not concerned that you're going to smear it because it's not so important as it is over there.
Magen Avram says asur.
Now, Magen Avram also says it's mutter, but he explains a different reason. He explains that usually people smear wax. It's not so usual to smear dough. They're each focusing on a different thing. Taz is focusing on this particular situation of the pots. Magen Avram is saying in general, people don't smear dough usually. It's not a thing that they usually use for smearing. So therefore, again, he wouldn't say you're allowed to do it. We don't make a gzeir that you're going to do it because it's not a normal thing to smear.
What's happened to the dough after they sealed for the eat? They're using after Shabbat to make a bread with that?
The Mishnah Berurah says that we're going to feed it to the dogs anyway, so the dogs don't mind.
Feed the dog only.
That's why he says
I cannot benefit with that.
No, you could, but what's the point?
It's like you're making from Shabbat to Yom Kippur, Rabbi.
No, you could. You didn't bake the dough. The dough just sat there. Well,
It doesn't change a little bit?
No, that's what he said. You showed it to me.
Okay. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, I'm just thinking deeper,
Okay. אבל אין מניחים כלי שיש בו דבר שאינו חם כל כך, על גבי כדי שהיא חמה כל כך, שהעליון יוכל לסחם מחומה עד שתהיה היד צלרת בו. But my friends, you cannot put a keli that has something that is not so hot on top of a pot that is hot if it's going to heat up the top pot to the point of yad lettuce boy. Even if it's off the fire, if you want to heat up a pot that has liquid on it, on top of the bottom pot, and it's going to heat that pot up to yad lettuce boy, that you cannot do. Just like you cannot heat liquids in a kli rishon, you can't heat them on a kli rishon either. That's pretty clear. Yes? So far, so good. Okay, here's where it's starting to get interesting. Yesh mefarshim siv zayin. Some say.
How is that different than the first sentence, where you can put it on the insulated pot?
For sentence C-A-N, over here you can't, C-A-N-T.
Oh, you cannot.
You cannot. You cannot put a kli that has something that is not so hot on top of a pot that is hot if the bottom pot is going to heat up the top pot. You got it?
Oh, even with the first sentence, kol sheyesh bo daber cham yad tzeledus bo muter lahaniach b'Shabbos al gav kadera hatmana kadei shish more so below its
There was already hot, and you wanted to maintain its heat. That's okay. Here it's not hot, and you're going to heat it up.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
So that's the problem. If it's liquid, even if it was fully cooked, but if it's liquid and it's cooled down, now you're going to heat it up.
Okay.
Now the Ramah doesn't argue here because he knows, or he hopes that we already know, that he argues in other cases and it applies here. The Machaber just mentions Yad Tzoleres Boy. That's the only definition of cooked for lach, for the Machaber. The Ramah says elsewhere that as long as it's still hot, even if it's less than Yad Tzoleres Boy, there is no prohibition to reheat it. So he'll say the same thing here. He doesn't mention it. We're supposed to figure it out. Okay. Moving right along to Seif Zayin. Yesh mefarshim. Some say the harder shari laniach kli sheyesh bo devar cham al gabe k'deir hatmuna, that which we permit to put a keli which has something hot on top of a pot that is insulated, afilu kli atachtan al ha'eish shari. Even if the bottom keli is on the fire, it's permissible. Now, how are you going to have an insulated keli on the fire? We said you can't insulate on top of a fire. Okay, maybe it's only insulated in the minority of it. Maybe it's insulated, draped, not touching the sides, just draped over so it's hanging, whatever. It's in a permissible way. But according to the first opinion, you can put it even on top of the pot that's on the fire. Yesh mefarshim, some say, if the bottom pot is on the fire, it's always forbidden. Listen carefully. When you put, if you want to take something that's still hot and put it on to a kira, grufa, or ketuma, you want to put it onto a stove that the coals are covered or removed. Fully cooked, still hot. Are you allowed to put it on Shabbos? Is there any way you're allowed to put it on Shabbos? No. You have a hot pot, fully cooked, and you have an oven whose coals are covered or removed. You want to take this hot pot, ein bishul achar bishul, still hot, fully cooked, and you want to put it on top of that stove. Thank you very much. You can do it only if you have the conditions of chazara. If you took it off of here, and you had in mind to put it back here, and you had it in your hands the whole time, like everything we learned, then you can put it back. If not, not. Why not? Why do you need the Kiddush Chazar? What's wrong if you don't do the Kiddush Chazar? Exactly. Mechzik and Mavash. It looks like cooking. Okay. So now, the machloikas here is, do we apply the issue of Mechzik and Mavashal when we put something on top of another pot? I know it could be Mavashal, that it could be Mavashal even if it's not on the fire. That's what we just said in Vav. Even if it's not on the fire, it could actually cook. But the question is, does it look like Bishul? When you take a pot and you put it on top of another pot that's on the fire, maybe some people cook like that. If they don't have enough room on the stove, they pile pots on. I don't know. Maybe it's Mechzik and Mavashal. Maybe not. Who cooks on top of a pot? So, machloket. Two opinions. One says allowed. One says not allowed. The one that says not allowed says it's Mechzik and Mavashal. Have we learned anything about this? I did mention it, and the Machaber also mentioned it in Reish Nun Gimel Hey. We'll get back to Reish Nun Gimel Hey in a minute. But basically, there, I'll say it now. There, basically, he says that if you're putting it on top of a pot, you don't have to keep the Nidich as a Chazar. You want to just give me another Mishnah Berurah, if you don't mind? No, I'm okay. Thank you very much. You have the deer shoe set here, by the way? Should get it. Amazing stuff. A lot of good information. Okay, the Machaber says in Reish Nun Gimel Hey. I'd like to. How many people didn't daven yet? Not one. You daven? You no. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six. You did already. Didn't. Not seven. You did and Alma did. Okay. Feel bad. Feel bad to stop the learning, but what can I do? If I was number 11, I would No, I don't want to take away learning for it. I know, but I'd rather. What? No. But I don't know. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
Everyone's welcome to continue learning from 9:30 to 10. We'll be here. We'll learn the shoes. Whatever the other things.
I don't know what to think, but we'll continue another few minutes. We'll make a compromise. We'll continue a few more minutes, and then we'll have them higher. Okay. Here's the thing. In Reish Nun Gimel Hey, the Machaber says, "Mutter loses al pikderes chamen b'Shabbos tashas b'Shabbos Shabbos kol tzorka kigam penadish." Chiyotze ben lacham, and you can take a penadish, a meat pie, fully cooked, and put it on top of a hot pot. No problem. Doesn't have any issues Mechzik and Mavashal. No problem. Doesn't say you have to have any conditions of Chazara. Nothing. Here he has two opinions. Doesn't say. Leaves it open. However, we have Seif Chas. Listen carefully. Lohaniach davar kar shenes bashal called tzorka. Agav mechem shalish. Here's something new. Vav and Zion. That's a detail. Who cares? It's on the fire here, yeah? And there it's also on the fire. So Tmuna makes it more Mechzik and Mavashal? Why should it be more Mechzik and Mavashal? You have a blanket there, it looks more like cooking. I don't know. Pieces of heat to the bottom, not to the top. I don't think.
No, especially if you put something on top. So you don't want just
It doesn't say you're putting something on top of the top pot. It doesn't say. La'niach davar kar. We're going to get to.
I want to clarify something back on Zion here. So
Yeah.
we're saying that we can put a pot on top of a kedera hatmana, but not on a kli which is on the fire.
Exactly. According to one opinion. According to the other opinion, yes, but according to one opinion, not.
Okay, but are those two? Oh, well, I thought that, the first opinion is saying kadera hatmana, so that's a different.
Even if the bottom one is on the fire.
Oh, I see. Got it. Okay.
Muna, it has hatmana also, but it also is on the fire.
Okay, and I see. Then there's Husay Aser. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Which is not simple to do hatmana on the fire, but there are ways to do it, and then that's how we did it. Okay, ches. This is something new, my friends. Now we're talking about something cold, but it's already been cooked. Vav and Zayin was hot, liquids still hot. Now it's cold, solids fully cooked. Machaber. You want to put something cold that's been fully cooked on top of a pot that's on the fire. Mecham is like a kettle. Some say it's like putting it opposite a fireplace, which is not a normal place to cook. We're going to see later. Anything that you're allowed to put opposite a fireplace, even though it's yasledes. But for example, it's dry. You can put it on the mecham, on the kettle, on the fire, because it's not a normal place to cook. Some people say no, that it's like you're putting it on the oven. And it's aser. It looks like cooking. Even if it's already been cooked. Even if it's going to burn a little bit. Even if it's still hot, you can't put it back without the conditions of chazara. The Rishon Nira Ikar, my friends. The first opinion is the main one. You need to say, we paskin that it does not look like cooking. If it is a tashel that has any liquid, and it's going to taste better, it's asr if it is cooled off, because that's yesh b'shalach b'shal balach. My friends, here is how the Vilna Gaon learns the pshat in these seifim. We'll learn the Magen Avram's pshat tomorrow. The Vilna Gaon says, in Siv Zayin there's a machlokes, two opinions, if it looks like cooking or not. He doesn't tell you the halacha. Why doesn't he tell you the halacha? Patience. It's right here in Siv Ches. Two opinions. Does it look like cooking or not? And he says, Rishon Nira Ikar, the first one is the main opinion. And that applies both to Siv Ches, that it's permissible, it's not Mechsikim Mavashal, and to Siv Zayin, it's permissible, not Mechsikim Mavashal. And that fits in well with Reish Nun Gimel Hey, where it says you're allowed to put the meat pie on top of the mecham that's on the fire. You don't need any conditions of chazara. Doesn't look like cooking. That's not a normal place to cook. That's how the Vilna Gaon learns. Very simple and very straightforward. The Magen Avram has a little bit more of a complicated way, but we'll have to wait for 23 hours or so to hear that tomorrow night in Mitzvah.
Have to be included all the chazara of the second part, or even
no, that's the whole argument. If you have din chazara, of course you can do it. The point is you're not having any din chazara. Nevertheless, the lenient opinion says it doesn't look like cooking because it's not a normal place. On top of a pot? No. Top of a pot, you don't have to have din chazara. You can't have bishul. So if it's fully cooked and dry, it's okay. Or if it's liquid and still hot, it's also okay. Okay, that's about bishul. That's not about Mexican wash. That's about bishul. It has to be dry or still hot, of course. Otherwise, you have bishul. But if you have those details, you don't need din chazar. All right, my friends, I have to go. Forgive me. We'll continue this tomorrow night at regular time.
Here?
No, back in Highland Lake Shul. All the best.
All right. Thank you.